Hello there, everybody. My name is Ballhawk, and this is Sky Pillar Stadium Week 2 Articuno Division for the Hinterland Woodhammers. This week we were going up against Sofsm, and it was a pretty interesting matchup. Let me see if I can find the team here real quick. Well, actually, no. Let's just tell you what. I'll read it off here. Let me find it. Give me one moment here. Let's see. So, I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of background. So, we started off our season on a bit of a high note, pulling off our first ever 6-0, and it was really unexpected. I was able to kind of chip things down, and then Mega DNC was able to just kind of clean things up a little bit towards the end there. But coming into week 2, definitely was not looking to rest on any laurels or anything like that. Went back to the grindstone, and we had a tough opponent coming in. His team looked pretty scary, but anyway, his team consisted of Dragapult, Mega Gardevoir, Melmetal, Moltres, Alamomola, Landorus, Muckalola, Boltund, Virizion, and Greedent. So there were a lot of threatening things, especially those top three, Dragapult, Mega Gardevoir, Melmetal, and then Moltres complemented those very well, being a good fire type switch in for Melmetal and being able to come in and give him some ground immunity for that as well, and being a reliable defogger. Alamomola is just annoying, just pass off wishes, and is just fat and tough to kill, spraying toxics and switching out. And then Landorus is just Landorus. And then his bottom three, Boltund, Virizion, Greedent. I didn't see Boltund or Greedent coming at all in this game. I thought Virizion was a possibility, but ultimately I really didn't do too much prep for it, just because the top 6 on his team they're so good and so far ahead above everything else on his team that I kind of just assumed that, I think he's going to fall into 6-month syndrome, where he's going to be bringing the same 6 each week. So really, I was preparing for Dragapult, Mega Gardevoir, Melmetal, Moltres, Alamomola, and Landorus. So without further ado, let's hop into the team that I prepared for this week. Starting things off, we've got Starscream. Starscream is going to hold a Life Orb, and kind of looking back on this, I forgot that Soldew is a thing. This is post-game commentary, by the way, just a heads up. I forgot that Soldew is a thing, and if you are like I was and you're not familiar with what Soldew does right now, I believe it was nerfed a couple of times, where it used to be like plus 1.5 times the special attack and special defense of Latios and Latios, or something ridiculous like that, without any drawbacks. But right now, what it does is, excuse me a moment. All right, sorry about that. If you were like me and you're unaware, but they did nerf Soldew a couple times recently, and it's to the point now where all it does is it's 1.2 times the power of Latios or Latias's Dragon and Psychic type moves. So it's almost like a free Life Orb without any drawbacks, but not quite, just because any of the coverage moves aren't going to get that boost. So that's the reason why we're running Life Orb here over the Soldew, just because we've got 2 coverage moves that aren't stab. So figured we might have to kind of take that drawback a little bit this week. But we're going to run 252 special attack and speed. That's just so that I forget if anything was able to speed creep it. The only thing that I could see is Mega Gardevoir coming in at 350 probably, but actually no, Mega Gardevoir tops out at 100, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think what might have happened is I just got lazy, and I kind of prepped pretty fast for this, and I didn't bother with speed creeping. I just went max speed. But ultimately, I decided to go max speed, max special attack, timid nature on Latios, and just go with the Roost, Mystical Fire, Shadow Ball, Draco Meteor. Draco Meteor is that strong nuke that just comes in and revenge kills things. Shadow Ball is there for Mega Gardevoir, being able to hit that at least, and then Mystical Fire was mainly there for Melmetal, but it also I could also see it coming in handy for Mega Gardevoir or Dragapult situationally. So that was Starscream. Moving on to I Could Be Your Girlfriend, Mega DNC. Mega DNC I was asking to do quite a bit this week. I was going to have it be a rock polish setup. Basically, hold that same cleaner roll that it did in week 1. against this team, Mega DNC performs that role quite well, being able to hit just about everything on his team super effectively, aside from Elo Momola and Gradient. Like those, aside from those, and to an extent Landorus Therian as well. Outside of those three, Mega DNC has a super effective attack against everything on his team, and it just hits like an absolute truck with a base 160 special attack. So we're pumping that all the way up to 419 with 252 attack EV or special attack EVs. We're going with the hasty nature, and the reason we're going with the hasty nature over a timid is because I don't want to take any power away from the Diamond Storm. So we're going to go with a hasty nature, and what that'll do is that'll hinder our defensive stat to speed, or to help out our speed stat. And the reason why we're doing that is because again, we want to keep Diamond Storm as strong as possible, and if we're taking from from our defense, Diamond Storm has the chance to give us a +2 defense. So we're just trying to maximize our stats and our abilities for this game so far. But we're going to go with Rock Polish and Moonblast, Earth Power, and Diamond Storm on Mega DNC. And the speed EVs, I believe, are to speed creep something like Dragapult or possibly Scarf Landorus Therian. Maybe it was Rock Polish Landorus Therian. It was probably Rock Polish Landorus Therian. But yeah, just make sure that after we get a Rock Polish up, Mega DNC is going to be the fastest thing on the field, and then the goal was to chip things down as best as I can, so that way this could clean everything up towards the end of the game. Moving on, we've got Miss Dumpty. Miss Dumpty is coming in for the first time this season. She is going to hold Eviolate, Natural Cure, or actually, maybe I can't remember if I brought Miss Dumpty last week as well. Anywho, she's going to hold the Eviolate with the Natural Cure ability, and we're going to go with just the standard bold, 248 HP, 252 defense, and put the last into special defense. She's going to be the special tank, and with Soft Boiled, Stealth Rock, his team being weak to rocks, it pretty much ensures that either Landers or Moltres have to come in and defog if they want to keep rocks up their side of the field, and then that'll play into our win con, our main win con, that we'll save for last. And then Teleport just for safe switch-ins, and then Seismic Toss for consistent damage output against things that aren't Dragapult. I'd really gonna have to be careful with this, just because I don't want to let Dragapult. I can't let myself fall into a situation where I'm essentially just waiting for, or I'm totally reliant on Chansey to win towards the end of the game. If I have to make sure that Dragapult is done, or I save an answer for Dragapult, because if it's Dragapult versus Chansey, he wins. So just one thing to be careful of. Next up, we're gonna hop on down to Rhinoceraptor, holding a Rocky Helmet with sturdy ability. We're gonna give it Roost, Spikes, Whirlwind, and Brave Bird. Spikes just to have another form of hazards. I want to make sure that I'm stacking up the hazards as best as I can this week. I think my team's going to force a lot of switch-ins, and I want to take advantage of that. And then we're going to go with Roost for longevity, Whirlwind to, kind of be annoying to a sense, and just kind of phase out his removers and keep hazards up, keep the momentum up. And then Brave Bird for reliable damage on everything. I was going to go with Body Press, but Brave Bird just actually allows me to actually hit Dragapult, so that's why I opted for that instead. 252 HP. Bold 252 or Impish 252 special or in defense. Go with max HP, max defense, and then the remaining 4 into special defense. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Next up, we've got BB Emma Fireball. Darmanitan is going to hold a Choice Scarf with the Sheer Force ability. I'm going to go with Flare Blitz, Rock Slide, U-Turn, and Trick. Flare Blitz is for the super effective stab, and Melmetal, as thick as it is, does not want to take a Flare Blitz from this thing. And then it's going to hit everything else decently hard, even if they resist it. Rock Slide is there because his team almost entirely is weak to rocks, and I could catch a Moltres or a Darmanitan or something off guard on a switch-in. U-Turn for keeping up momentum. And then Trick to possibly trick this Scarf onto Alamomolo to completely, or even Melmetal, just to completely neuter them for the rest of the match. Going 224 speed with a Jolly Nature to make sure that we outspeed Landorus without a Scarf. And then max into attack and putting the remaining EVs into defense, and the last 4 into special defense. And then lastly, we've got the star of the show, Captain Marvel. Had a little bit of a heat set that I wanted to throw together after testing out a little bit the night before with Boot. He was giving me a mock battle, and this totally caught him off guard, so I was feeling very good about it heading into the match. I thought it had a solid chance of working, so the whole premise of this was to take advantage of the fact that he's got a Landorus, Therian. I'm going to be putting up my hazards, so there's going to be multiple points in the game where they're going to be pressured to go for a defog and remove hazards. So I wanted to take full advantage of that, and we're going to go with a fully offensive set on Milotic. So 100 HP, just for a little bit of extra bulk. We're going to go with modest 252 special attack to hit as hard as we possibly can with Scald and Ice Beam, and then put the 156 into speed. And what that does is that speed creeps a Dragapult that is trying to speed creep my Mega Diancie. So being a little cheeky there, and so that's after the Adrenaline Worm kicks in. So if they lead Landorus, Therian, and I lead the Milotic, Milotic's going to be faster than everything on their team if they're only speed creeping for Mega Diancie. So being a little tricky there. I didn't see them to have any reason to creep anything else, so I thought this would be something. I thought, I wanted to make sure that, I didn't leave any stone unturned, and that Milotic would have every ability to do what I wanted to do this week, which is pressure everything and take as many kills as I possibly can. So Milotic is our main hole puncher, and the whole goal was to just put it in and watch it do work. So let's from here, let's go into the matchup. Into the game, sorry. So I'm going to put this on slow and just hit play. So this game was played about a week ago. I'm getting around to this pretty late, so I don't remember exactly what happened with everything. So I led with Captain Marvel, and luckily, as happened with Boot when he mocked me, they led off with Landorus, Therian, so that gave me, it procced the Adrenaline Orb along with my competitive, and I'm just gonna speed this back up to normal because there's not going to be too much commentary needed for this, I don't think. But at that point, that's probably the worst start anybody could have, is bringing in a Landorus Therian against a Milotic that's holding an Adrenaline Orb with the competitive ability. So at this point, Substitute's there to protect myself from things like a Toxic or a Thunder Wave, and just be able to chunk a hit if needed. So at this point, I had to switch out. I didn't want to lose Milotic to a Melmetal Thunder Punch. But as you can see, the turn before, Milotic did in fact outspeed his Dragapult, as he must have been just speed creeping Mega Diancie like I had hoped. So that worked out very nicely. I was pretty proud of that as far as prep wise goes. And then at this point, I'm just setting up my hazards and trying to make sure that I have every opportunity to go ahead and get Captain Marvel back in here and force them to decide if they want to keep the hazards in or if they are going to proc my competitive ability again. And from here, I'll just keep setting up substitutes, just because Alomomola is substitute fodder and allows me to get my sub and get my health back and prepare for things like Melmetal. So at this point, we'll just Scald spam, and we're just fishing for a burn as all. Again, Melmetal forces us out, and Skarmory just takes a Thunder Punch like a champ. And I believe he's going to be faster, yeah, so it's going to roost, be able to roost it off, get some nice chip through the Rocky Helmet, and ultimately, at this point, Skarmory just beats Melmetal. So, and now we're just going to be annoying and get some more chip with the Whirlwind. And you can see why Skarmory Milotic was such a good combination in this game. And then Skarmory gets up a kill via the Rocky Helmet, and that was a misplay on my part. That was probably the only misplay I had in this game, was going for a second whirlwind there instead of just roosting up again. But at this point, the game is pretty much won because, one, Alomomola can't do anything to Milotic, and then two, his Landorus just dies to a single Scald because of the competitive boost, and then Moltres can't touch Milotic. Very curious as to what his Landorus set though was. The fact that Landorus was slower than Milotic, with the fact that it had the Sword Stance, is a little odd to me. I would have thought that that probably needed to be at least just as fast as Milotic. unless they were counting on, unless it was double dance and they were counting on being able to get both of them up. But that was the only. Those are the two things that I thought were a little bit sloppy about this game. One, my whirlwind on the last hit from Melmetal instead of going for Roost to get my health back up, and then them just. I feel like it was a gap in their prep, allowing my low tick to outspeed Landorstarian, unless they were just assuming I was going to go with the Marvel Scales Zero Speed, and they just guessed wrong. But just a heads up, if you got a Landorstarian and you're facing a Milotic, be prepared for the competitive, just because it has such a good matchup against Landers, and it's almost a guarantee just wall against Landorstarian. So, but that was our week 2 game. Good game to both Sofsm, just by happenstance getting a second 6-0 and only using half of my team, really. I mean, Darmanitan was only in there for, one turn. The rest of it was Skarmory getting Melmetal, and then Milotic just strong-arming the rest of his team entirely. So, yeah. I couldn't have started off any better for Season 3. I've never had, this kind of back-to-back game output. I've never had a 6-0 before the season to begin with, and having 2 in a row is kind of I got to be careful not to let my head get too big here. But looking ahead to week 3, we've got Jake, who was the Zapdos division champion from last season, so definitely going to be a tough test, and he's got a pretty scary team, being a semi-water or semi-rain team where it's not entirely predicated upon that, but the threat of it is scary enough where you don't know exactly what he's going to bring. So I'm really scratching my head at this point prepping for that, as I spent about half this week trying to piece together a team. So we'll see how week 3 goes. But yeah, thanks for tuning into week 2 of the Articuno division in the Sky Pillar Stadium. My name is Ballhawk, coach of the Hinterland Woodhammers, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.